Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the December Land Bank Board meeting. We're going to start with a statement from our attorney about holding virtual meetings.
Good morning, everyone. Today's board meeting is being held by an authorized communication device because of the continued closure of Land Bank and PHDC offices to the public because of the COVID pandemic. This meeting is being recorded. Questions and comments may be made using the Q&A function or the raised hand button at the bottom of your screen. If you're calling in and not using the Zoom webinar link, you may ask questions or make comments by pressing *9 on your phone or the raise hand function. Please do not use the chat function. If any of you have issues submitting questions or comments, please send an email to me at andrea.saw@phdc.phila.gov, and I will put that in the chat for everyone to see. Please note all questions and comments received by email or through the Q&A function will be included in the minutes. Also, prior to today's public session, the board held an executive session at which the agenda was reviewed and where we discussed the future executive session agendas. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. And now we'll go to roll call.
Yes. Ann Fedulin.
Present.
Maria Gonzalez.
Here.
Joshu Harris. Andrew Goodman. Michael Coons.
Present.
Michael Johns.
Present.
Rebecca Lopez, Chris.
Present.
Majida Rashid.
Present.
Rick Sauer.
I'm here.
Alexander Balloon.
Here.
Richard DeMarco.
Good morning, I'm here.
Good morning. We have a quorum and can proceed.
Thank you. And next item we have is approval of the minutes from the November Land Bank Board meeting. If the board does not have any questions or comments on those minutes, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to accept the board minutes as presented.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded to approve the minutes of the November 15th, 2022 Land Bank Board meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, minutes carry. And next we're going to the election of board officers and approval of the 2023 board meeting schedule.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So every year during the annual meeting of the board, which is in December, we elect officers for the organization, for the board. The offices are chair, vice chair, secretary, and treasurer. And then there's the 11th member who is chosen by the rest of the board. But for the officer positions, we have the following nominations: Ann Fedulin for chair, Andrew Goodman for vice chair, Maria Gonzalez for secretary, and Rebecca Lopez Chris for treasurer. All of the nominees have accepted their nomination, and we therefore need to vote. So, can I call for a motion?
Motion to accept the nominations.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries. The second item on this agenda item is the resolution whereby we adopt our schedule of regular meetings for 2023, which will also be advertised in newspapers and posted online. All of the meetings in 2023 will be on the second Tuesday of each month, except for the January meeting, which will be on the third Tuesday because of the long holiday break between now and then. So that will be on January 17th, February 14th, March 14th, April 11th, May 9th, June 13th, July 11th, August 8th, September 12th, October 10th, November 14th, and December 12th. May I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Move to accept. Second. Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? All right, the motion carries. Thank you.
Right, thanks. And next we have review and acceptance of the Philadelphia Land Bank audited financial statements for the year ending June 30th, 2022.
Morning, board members and public. Today in the packet, which was provided, we have a copy of our audit. So the audit was completed for the fiscal year ending in 6/30/2022. Basically, this what we hired McCadian Accounting to do was to audit our financial statements for the fiscal year 2022 in accordance with gas standards, because we are a quasi-governmental entity. The findings and audit results were, the opinion was that they completed the audit, it was complete, and they gave us an unmodified or clean opinion for our financial statements ending in June 30th, 2022. There was a finding under the US gas and gas standards. And when I say gas, G-A-S, and gas, G-A-S, sorry if that sounds confusing, it's very gassy. We did have an internal control finding. That was a treatment on how the accounting department was handling dispositions and revenue from those dispositions, and reconciling the book value versus what we actually sold property for. We have a plan to correct that. This should not be an issue in the upcoming, for the current fiscal year and for the future audit. Other than that, there were no findings in terms of compliance with any laws, regulations, contracts, or agreements. We did see a total asset increase from 33.2 million to 35.1 million. Our cash increased from 1.6 to 2.3 million. Receivables increased from 871,000 to 2.3 million. We did see a decrease in land inventory from 30.7 million to 30.5 million. Obviously, we have not been acquiring any properties this past fiscal year because there haven't been any tax municipal sales. So we've been focusing on dispositions. Our liabilities did increase from 1.1 to 1.6 million. And our net, there was an increase in our net position of 1.3 million. Total revenues were 4.2 and total expenditures were 2.9. Obviously, recommendations coming out of the audit were that we need to work on our cash reconciliations and land valuations. Also, how we handle cost allocations. If the board would remember, all of the staff are PHDC employees, so there's a lot of reconciliation between the two agencies and entities. And that concludes my presentation on the audit.
Thank you, Angel. Any comments or questions on the audit from the board? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to accept.
I make a motion to accept the audit.
Second.
A motion been made and properly seconded to accept the land bank audited financial statements for the year ending June 30th, 2022. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, ayes have it. And next we're going on to the review and approval of the Philadelphia Land Bank fiscal year 2023 budget.
Good morning, board members. In your packet, what was presented to you was the proposed budget for fiscal year 23. There was a slight increase from 3 million to 3,147,551 for the total budget. In terms of expenditures, we did see some increases. Well, we have 2 more staff from last year. We went up from 15 staff members to 17. Obviously, because of sheriff sales not happening for the past fiscal year, and we don't have a firm understanding of when they will resume, those expenditures have dropped in the future year. What we have seen is an increase in our property maintenance. A lot of that is us trying to be proactive and mitigating any issues or concerns from the public, but also any liabilities for the structures that we may have in our inventory, which pose a significant liability for the agencies. Other than that, I mean, obviously, our fringe benefits and professional staffing issue have gone up because we've added 2 staff people. But on the whole, I think this is a pretty much a solid budget.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on the budget for FY 23 from the board? All right, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I move to approve the budget.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded to approve the Land Bank fiscal year FY 23 budget. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries, and that brings us to section 5, or excuse me, 6 of our agenda, which is property dispositions, and we're going to start with unsolicited proposals for affordable housing.
Thank you. Just a second. Today, sorry, technical difficulties. Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 6A1, today we're asking the board to authorize the disposition of 15 properties in Point Breeze to Fine Print Construction LLC, a certified minority business enterprise here in the city of Philadelphia. Fine Print looks to develop 44 mixed income home ownership and rental units, and also an additional commercial unit for property management. Properties that are requested by the applicant include 2329 Ellsworth Street, 2445 Federal Street, 2315, 2316, 2317, 2318, 2337, 2339, and 2349 Greenwich Street, 1709 Point Breeze Avenue, 1711 Point Breeze Avenue, and 1822 rear to 34 Point Breeze Avenue, and also 1836 Point Breeze Avenue, and also 1555 South Ringgold Street. The specific breakdown of units is as follows. There will be 8 single-family affordable units, home ownership, that will be sold to households with incomes at or below 80% of AMI. Each one of those units will be 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, roughly about 980 square feet. And those homes will be located on the Greenwich and Ringgold Street properties, and they'll be sold for a maximum of $250,000. There is also 3 triplexes that will be built at 1709, 1711 Point Breeze Avenue, and 2329 Ellsworth Street. Those triplex will contain a total of 9 affordable units. In each of those triplexes, there is a pair of 2-bedroom units and one 1-bedroom unit. So in total, the triplexes will have 7 units that will be 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom that will be leased to households at or below 80% of AMI. And the triplexes will also include 3 1-bedroom units that will be leased to households at or below 60% of AMI. The triplexes will also range in between 50 to 770 square feet. There is 1 affordable duplex at 2445 Federal Street that will contain 1 larger 3-bedroom, 1.5 bathroom unit, rental, obviously, roughly about 1,067 square feet, and 1 smaller 2-bedroom unit, 2-bedroom, 1.5 bathroom rental unit, roughly 954 square feet. And all the duplex units will be leased to those at or below 80% of AMI. The proposal also includes a 4-story mixed-use multifamily rental building that will be built on the Point Breeze properties at the 1800 block. That building will contain 21 market rate rental units and 3 rental units that will be at least the households at or below 60% of AMI, including 2 studios and 1 1-bedroom unit. There'll also be 1 1-bedroom unit for a household at or below 80% of AMI. And the multifamily building will also be a total of 16,000 square feet, also containing some 11 studios, 8 one-bedroom units, and 6 two-bedroom units, and the management office as well. The project's going to take advantage of the mixed income housing bonus to achieve additional height for the triplexes and multifamily buildings, resulting in two studios and 4 one-bedroom rental units that will be leased to households with incomes at or below 50% of AMI, and a maximum rent of $922 a month and $988 a month respectively between the studios and one bedrooms. There's also a one-bedroom unit that will be leased to a household with incomes at or below 80% of AMI with a maximum rent of $1,582 a month. There's also 7 two-bedroom rental units that will be leased to households with incomes at or below 80% of AMI with a maximum rent of $1,898 a month. There's also one bedroom unit that will be leased to a household with incomes at or below 80% of AMI for a maximum of $2,193 a month. Again, this proposal was evaluated pursuant to a disposition policy. The developer will purchase the property for $26,000. There's evidence of project financing provided. The applicant is compliant and in good standing with the city of Philadelphia, and the project will be subject to an economic opportunity plan as well. It'll also be subject to an irrevocable power of attorney and right of re-entry reverter. And the property will also be subject to use restrictions and income verification. Believe that is it.
Thank you, Jesse. Any questions or comments on this item from the board? And just reminding board with this item that we did here last month.
Yeah, I'll start. I had made a number of comments last year. It feels like it's been a year already. The last time regarding this project. And I appreciate the fact that the developer did go back and take a look at a couple of the units again and made some changes. And that is definitely appreciated. I think at the end of the day, this developer will do a great job for the community in terms of the affordability and the price point and the rents. I think is absolutely spot on. The support from the community is there. I do have a couple concerns about design still, and I think that could be improved. For example, one of the units that was revised, I believe, is the triplex floor plan. I don't know if you can go to that sheet number 94 out of 151. The obvious thing to this that concerns me for this plan is the location. I'm glad that they added, I believe they added the kitchen and added a window, but the range is right next to the window. That is a fire waiting to happen. I'm sorry. So again, appreciate the changes that have been made to the plan and the developer's willingness to make some changes. But please have your architect look at the livability of your plans at the end of the day. If you have a range next to a window, somebody puts a curtain to the window and turns on the gas or the electric, it's going to catch fire. You understand? You've got to look at these plans in a way that so that they're livable at the end of the day and in context with the community. I think, again, developer, I wish you the best of luck with this project. I think it's a great project, a great initiative, but please consider those aspects as you move forward in this project, if you move forward with this project. Those are my comments.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from the board?
I had just a quick comment. Last meeting, I made a snarky comment about IKEA-sized houses, and having spent about 12 hours in IKEA in the last month, I think it can be done. It can be done, but to Michael's point, or to Mr. John's point, like the design has to be there, otherwise they're kind of wacky. But it can definitely be done, and I don't think there's anything wrong with small housing. From a livability or a preference perspective, but but I mean, I think like given the overwhelming community support we had for this project last month, I think it sounds like it's a great project.
Thank you. And Mike, you have your hand raised. Mike Kuntz.
Yeah, I just have a comment that's not necessarily specific to this project, but in the ones I've seen. And that have come before the board, and that has to do with the rental units, and especially those at 80% of AMI. So from what I've been able to find out in the last week or so from a survey of apartment buildings, at least up in my neighborhood, a one bedroom unit at $1,600 is pretty much market rate. We're not getting really much affordability. Same thing with 2-bedroom units at $1,900. Having said that, I still support the project.
Yeah, and Rick.
Yeah, the only other comment I would raise is if we're building affordable rental units, I think we need to do more to make sure that they're affordable for the longer term. So right now, if I'm not mistaken, there's a 15-year affordability period in effect for that. But after 15 years, the rents can go up. So I do think we need to take a closer look at that and extend that policy, especially for projects just like this in the future.
I think that I agree, but I also think we are, just to remind folks, we are not putting actually any subsidy into the capital stack or the operations of these. We do offer below market value on the land, and I think it's, we need deals to pencil, right? So it's, do we want an affordable unit that's affordable for 15 years, or we may not get that affordable unit if the project doesn't pencil. And so I just think, it's going to take some time for us to figure out that balance, because I think we've got some affordable housing developers on this call who know that even 100% affordable project with subsidy doesn't pencil very well after about year 10 or 12. And so I think it's going to be that balancing act going forward. Any other questions or comments from the board?
I have one, Ann.
Yeah, go ahead.
And this is in general, not specific to this project also. When we're looking at rental units, do we request an operating pro forma from the developers?
Jesse, do we get a 15?
Yes, I'm sorry. I was trying to fiddle with the computer. We do get these operating pro formas from the developers if in fact there is some sort of rental component. Yes.
Could we include them in the board package in future?
Yes.
Thanks.
All right, any other questions or comments from the board? All right, seeing none, Andrea, I understand we got some emails and other comments prior to the board meeting from the public, so you want to read those?
Yes, I'm not going to read them. I'm going to summarize them because they're just too many. So the first was from Mr. Ronald Slaughter, who indicated that 2445 Federal Street is part of the estate of James P. Fisher, of whom he states that he is the executor and general power of attorney, and that no one has the authority to develop, build, or convey that parcel. I pointed out to Mr. Slaughter that the city acquired this property at sheriff's sale 40 years ago, and that he is free to consult an attorney if he wishes to evaluate what his options are. Secondly, we've received emails from Ella Bruce and Tara Bruce stating that no city-owned or land bank property should be used for market rate development. Ms. Ella Bruce stated that she feels that there is just the density is too high already because of the many projects that have been approved, both private and public. Also, that there is a dire need for a supermarket in the area. And then Ms. Tara Bruce stated that really the preference should be for home ownership for people at or below 60% of AMI, and that we should keep that all of the units, all of the rental units should be affordable if they're rental, and that basically the desire is for long-term residents in the community. So she's opposed to that disposition as well. We had also received 3 letters of support from registered community organizations, Point Breeze Community Development Coalition, represented by Mr. Albert Littlepage, Point Breeze Community Network Plus, represented by Claudia Sherrod, and Tasker Morris Neighborhood Association, represented by Mr. Charles Reeves Jr. And all of these have been forwarded to the board and will be appended to the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. And now we'll go to public comment, and I do see that we already have some members of the public with their hand raised. So we'll start with Mr. Ali.
Good morning, members of the board and chairperson.
Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead, please.
I just wanted to say, I really had a question, just for the attorney, just to back up a minute. When you did the audit and you did a budget, is the public entitled to have a question concerning those items when you pass them?
Typically, that's not sort of a public we have to do it as a board, but it's not necessarily a public comment type of thing. But if you've got a question, Mr. Ali, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get the facts, chairperson. I appreciate that. I just want to know if I had a right. I just like to exercise my rights. And the only question I had was when you went over the budget, you talked about a revenue, the audit, actually, you had a revenue increase from 871,000 to 2.3 million. I just wanted to know what was that spike in that revenue?
Sure.
But I do have a question about this project.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Angel, are you able to answer the question about the revenue piece?
Could you, sorry, I'm multitasking. What was the question again? About the revenue?
About the revenue increase.
Part of that was carryover. The other was land valuations and from carryover from the previous fiscal year. And then land valuations in our sales.
Just so I'm clear, so you had a revenue increase from 871,000 to 2.3 million. That was for land sales?
Yeah, and also the valuation of the properties.
Right. So I think, I don't think it's from land sales, right? It was from how properties were valued, right? So existing properties in the inventory got valued at a higher value than they had in the prior year.
Yeah. Is that because what was the reason for that change?
Well, how the land bank, we have an inventory. Typically, we use OPA values, and as OPA values change and increase, we then have to use the new OPA values. Then when we sell the property, obviously we appraise the value. We appraise the value of the property, and then there's that accounting piece that we have to do on that piece.
Thank you. I just wanted to follow up on this question about this project. I do wanted to just say that I'm familiar with the developer, and I do think that this is an outstanding project. And I do know that it is a minority developer, but I do want to stress the fact that when it comes to participation, because I'm not even sure who all the principals are of this development, but when it comes to participation, sometimes from my experience, as you board members know, I have been down here numerous times just asking for transparency on MBE, WE participation. I don't want to make an assumption that just because it's a Black developer, we're going to achieve 100%. Some of the constraints he will have is faced by the industry, and I don't really know his extent of experience in the construction industry. So I really want to make sure that we have some transparency for me as a citizen to come and look at an EOP plan, as well as the other documentation that Mr. Coons talked about. Since that's not published here, I would like to reserve my right to receive a copy of that without filing a right to know request. Can I have that, Mr. Chairperson?
So I believe that information, so are we talking about the EOP plan that is executed for the development?
Yes.
Yeah, so Angel, do we keep that on file, or is that kept on file by the by DHCD?
So in the application, the developer will submit a complete application, which will have a statement that says they're willing to work with the compliance department in the Division of Housing and Community Development. As we get close to settlement, they will set the Department or Division of Housing and Community Development will set the MBE, WBE goals for this project with the developer. At that point, that is what the EOP compliance is based on. And that department and DHCD monitors that piece. So should this project be approved and we go closer to settlement and we have those levels, I mean, we have proposed levels here on this project, which are 25 and 10. They may change, they may go up, may go down. But once those are approved, then yes, we can tell you what formally those levels are. Whether they are complying with it, that would be something that we would have to talk to the compliance unit and DHCD.
So thank you, but Madam Chairperson, I would just ask, since this is the end of the year and we have a new year ahead, in the past, that process and policy is not really working. It's not, we're not making a dent in anything. And this board, to just being fair, you might not even be aware that it's working because the policy is broken. So I think looking forward in the future, if you could adopt a different policy that comes in and gives you some report whenever that happens, then we'll be able to really see the transparency of stuff and be able to change some things. Because we all know that when power is not looked at closely by citizens, citizens are the real reason for change because they raise complaints, they raise flags. So I would like you to look forward, this board, I'm asking, look forward in the future that we can have a different policy, that we can have more transparency on MBE, WBE participation. And I would make that same comment for all three of these developments that's going to come up. But thank you for allowing me to
Sure.
speak.
Thank you. And I'm happy to have that conversation with DHCD and see what we can do there. All right, next hand up we have is Ray.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Go ahead.
I'm confused what I just heard, that you have letters from the community, but from my understanding, there was never a community meeting about this project that's happening. So was there or not? That, because I just was informed about this project just yesterday. And I live in the Point Breeze area. Do you know?
So the developer did have meetings in the community. I'm trying to see if they are on the call.
He is.
But they have met with the community. This is the second time coming back to the board for review. But they did have meetings prior to being presented to the board.
Okay. Because that usually when a developer is having a meeting, we get that information. I've been getting it in the mail because, like I said, and I live right at Point Breeze and Morris, like right around the corner from where these projects are happening. And I didn't receive anything or even know about this meeting. But irregardless, we're here now, and I don't approve of the building of apartments again on the Point Breeze block or in the Point Breeze corridor. We already have 50 units being built across the street from my house now. And you're talking about another 24 units a block away from there or 2 blocks away from that. And another 7 units, not even a whole block away. That's a lot of apartments at $1,500 to $2,000 a month from what I did hear about the rent. So it's really not for low income around this area at all. And I believe one of the board members even did not like the fact that it's still a high price for rental units. We're inundated with apartments. There's no affordable housing around here at all. So if you're trying to give away property or land or sell property for more unaffordable housing in this area, I don't think that's really fair to anyone who actually live in this area and want to continue to live and grow in this area, because you're pushing us out. We can't grow in this area. Like I said, I already have 30 units in the 1600 block. And on the other corner, I believe there's another 10 or 12 units. And now you're asking for another 30, about another 30 units within a block. I don't think that's fair to us here in this community that's always had homes here. May sound like a great project and great building and the plans are great, but affordable for us in this area is not. And there's already too many going up now for apartments and not homes.
Thank you.
That's-
Thank you for
You're welcome.
providing those comments.
Thank you.
And next we have Tara Bruce.
Good morning.
Good
Um,
morning.
I'm just trying to do a little bit more explaining in regards to my response. I did submit a letter. I'm not sure it's my most current letter because some of the things that were stated may have been prior to my original one. It may be correct, but my bigger concern, because it was summarized, so it may just be a little bit off, but my biggest concern is where I understand that there's going to be rental property and I'm not necessarily in favor of it. I am concerned about the breakdown of what the affordability actually is. I know that Jesse explained it, but like Rick and Mike, I'm still kind of on the fence on what exactly whatever the AMI is actually going to be for these particular properties, because I'm still on the fence. And because it's mixed in with home ownership and then this multi-unit family unit is kind of making me feel like I'm for one part and not for the other part. And I don't feel like a unit or this type of particular project should be under the same, because it's making me feel like I'm split, because where I am for the home ownership and how everything that he has in place is going, I'm not necessarily 100% on board with the rental properties and on that plot of land. And like I believe Ray just said, the home ownership is a desire, but I know that that's not everybody's path. So I totally get that, but I just feel like I'm a little bit confused in regards to what is the actual breakdown, because to me, when I'm looking at the 25 units, it looks like that it's only 4 units that would be affordable. And I may be wrong, and I just need a little bit more of explanation. I don't know if Jesse or even Mr. Bay can explain, or someone can explain a little bit more the actual breakdown of those units for me. That was my real question.
Yeah, do we have a simple breakdown? Because I'll admit, even I got lost in right about how many units are home ownership at one affordability, and then how many units are rental at what affordability?
And would it help if I read off like from a matrix for each property? Because I do have that. Is that something or?
No, I think what gets complicated is like this many units are 3-bedroom at this, and this many are 2-bedroom.
Right.
I think what we need to understand is just overall. So what I got is that there's 8 home ownership units, all of which are being sold at 80% of AMI.
Correct.
Right. Then the rental units, it's my understanding there's some units at 50, some units at 60, some units at 80, but I lost count of which is which.
So you're right. There's for sale component, which is 8 home ownership units that are at 80% of AMI. Amongst the rental component, there are 9 units that will be at 80% of AMI, and there will be 6 units that will be at 50% of AMI.
What's the total? I'm sorry. What's the
Yeah.
total of all
But
of
there's
the
44
rental
units, right? So if 8 units are home ownership, and I'm sorry, Miss Bruce, I didn't mean to talk over
It's
you.
okay, no.
If there's 8 home ownership units, and then there's
23 total affordable units.
okay, so there's 44 total units.
Yes.
23 are affordable.
Yes.
Of the 23, 8 are home ownership at 80%. And then the other, I have to do the math in my head now, which is like totally escaping me. 15 of the 15 rental units that are affordable,
Yes.
9 are at 80% and 6 are at 50%.
Correct.
Okay, so that's where we are, Miss Bruce. We have 44 total units. 8 of them are home ownership. All of the home ownership are at 80% median. We have 23. I'm sorry, we have 15 rental units that are affordable, 9 of which are at 80% and 6 of which are at 50%. So essentially there are, of the 44 units, 51%-ish, a little over half, 1 unit over half are affordable.
That was my question, because I was just struggling with the explanation as to why they all wouldn't be especially rental units wouldn't be at a affordable. Since we're already saying we're looking at someone who is looking at home that may not be in a position to do home ownership, why wouldn't we be more interested in trying to assist them a little bit more in regards to this project? And that's what my real concern is about that particular part of this project, not necessarily, you know, the home ownership and even like the loans, but the part that is not at a lower AMI. That's where, that was my question.
Thank you, Ms. Bruce.
Thank you.
Mr. Bay, I think if you're on, it would probably be helpful to hear from you after we hear from Albert Littlepage. Go ahead, Mr. Littlepage.
Good morning, board. I just signed on, so I didn't get a chance to hear all the particulars. But I know we as a community, some community members have been working with Mr. Bay. I know that I sent a letter in support of this particular project. I just wanted to know if that letter would still be submitted on at this go around. I see you nodding your head, so I appreciate that. Again, we appreciate the variety of home ownership and rentals that this project offers. We do know that everybody doesn't have the opportunity to be a homeowner, and we look at the rental opportunities as a plus as well. And we're delighted to have Daoud do this project in the community. It's something that we've been longing for, letting some minorities in the community do some building. So that's one of our biggest objectives, and we're glad to see that taking place. So we're hoping more minorities and more women get involved in development in our community. So again, board, thank you. I hope you consider this project, and I wish Mr. Bay the best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Littlepage. And Mr. Bay, who's the developer, do you have any comments that you'd like to make? All right, he's not raising his hand. And I don't, oh, here we go. Yeah, let's see, hold on. Bear with me for a second. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Bay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead, please. Thank you. Mr. Bay, go ahead. We can hear you. Well, we could hear you. You know what? Why don't we go to Justin?
Telling me to
Beasy?
shut up.
Oh, there we
Can
go.
you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Oh, I
When you
was just
say,
saying that
"Can you
probably
hear
was
me?"
God
we can
telling
hear
me to shut up. But anyway, y'all, I really think everyone did a great job, Jesse and Ann, explaining exactly how this thing's rolling out. Michael, I hear you. Both Michaels, I hear you guys. And my architect is actually on the line, Mr. John. And I'm glad you're on his top like that, you know what I mean? And he's going to get it right, you know? So whatever it is that we need to do to grow and get better, I'm going to, you know, eventually sit down with you guys and meet some of you guys and get to know you guys a little bit better and build a certain amount of relationship and confidence in you guys that I'm actually serious to go ahead and get things done and do it the right way.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Bay. And next we have Justin Beasy with his hand up.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead, please.
So thank you for taking the time to let me speak. As a developer that got through this process, I just wanted to show support for Daoud. As we met several times, I was kind of helping him and he was helping me go back and forth with this process because everybody has the same goal here, which is to take the lots and develop affordable housing, which is a big need in the city. Daoud, over talking to him, he's taught me a lot of things. He's very involved in the neighborhood and he does things the right way in terms of business. So I just wanted to come on from one developer to another to support him. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beasy. And we have David Langley.
Hi there. Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Dave Langley. I'm the executive director of the Philadelphia Accelerator Fund. I spoke in strong support of Daoud and this project at the November meeting. I just wanted to get on and reiterate and reinforce this support. As I'd mentioned last month, the Accelerator Fund is in the business of providing affordable patient debt to developers like Daoud, who have a strong record of completing real estate projects in the city, but who lack sufficient access to private capital to complete larger multi-unit projects like the one in front of you today. Our mission is to address this by providing what's typically the most difficult financing for small MB borrowers to access, which is the first in financing, which can cover pre-development expenses, soft costs, acquisition. In this case, we have, as I think is in the board package, a $1.9 million LOI out for flexible subordinate debt to fine print, which we hope to close on early next year. Since the November meeting, we've also connected Daoud with an additional senior lender, a regional CDFI looking to do affordable housing financing in Philadelphia. And if Land Bank elects to advance the disposition process today, we'll continue to work cooperatively with them to complete the capital stack. We view this project as a great opportunity for the city and its residents, both for the conversion of vacant land to affordable homeownership and rental housing, as well as for the ability to and the opportunity to help Daoud scale up his development activities and build his company. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that concludes public testimony. So if there's no additional questions or comments from the board, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion has been made and properly seconded to approve the disposition of several properties to fine print construction for the development of a mixed income homeownership and rental project. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion carries, and that brings us to item 6B, or I'm sorry, 6A2, excuse me, which again is a disposition for affordable units through an unsolicited application.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Today, we're asking the board to authorize the disposition of some properties in North Philly to Holloman LLC. This applicant wishes to develop a 4-story multifamily building with 5 units and a common roof deck that'll be located at 1736 North 22nd Street in the 5th Council District. The plans include 2 ground floor units that will be leased to seniors at or below 50% of AMI. And the upper levels also include 3 one-bedroom units and 1 bi-level unit, excuse me, I said 5 units, it's 6 units, excuse me. Plans include, again, the upper level units that will be 3 one-bedroom units and one bi-level unit that will be a 2-bedroom unit. And that all these units will be leased to households with incomes at or below 80% of AMI. Each one-bedroom unit will be roughly 788 square feet, while the 2-bedroom unit will be roughly 1,600 square feet. The senior units at 50% of AMI will have a maximum rent of $988 a month, while the 1-bedroom units will have it will be leased to 80% of AMI and leased to those at that income with a maximum rent a month at $1,582, and the 2-bedroom unit will be leased for no more than $1,898. The proposal was unsolicited and evaluated pursuant to the disposition policy, and the developer will purchase the property for $500. Evidence of project financing has been provided. The applicant is in compliance and good standing with the city of Philadelphia, and they will be subject to an economic opportunity plan. The project will also be subject to an irrevocable power of attorney, and the property will also be subject to use restrictions and income verifications and a 15-year term for the affordability component here.
Thank you, Jesse. Any questions or comments on this item from the board? I see none. Andrea, did we receive any comments prior to the board meeting on this item?
Yes, we did. We received 4 letters in strong support of the project. The first is from MAP Holistic, which is an RCO, Community Development Corporation, signed by Lewis Nash, stating the strong support for the project and also for the applicant's proposal to include PHA Housing Choice Voucher Program for families. So that, and there was a community meeting held on Saturday, November 12th, which is referenced in the letter. The second is from Friends of the 47th Ward, signed by Louise Canty Bundy, who also expressed strong support, stated that there was no community opposition to the project. The third is from Strawberry Mansion Community Concern, signed by Bonita Cummings. And again, voicing strong support for this project and for the affordability that is part of the project. And then third, the last one, which was just received this morning, but was forwarded to the board, is from United Neighbors Alliance Civic Association, signed by Mr. William Harris. And again, voicing strong support for the project and for the affordability considerations, also the applicant's response to some suggestions for the project in response to the community meeting. That's it. And they were not in opposition.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Andrea. And do we have any members of the public that wish to speak to this item? All right, I don't see any hand raised, so I will entertain a motion.
I motion to accept this project.
I'll second the motion.
Motion has been made and properly seconded to approve the disposition of 1736 North 22nd Street to Holloman LLC to develop, looks like a total of 6 affordable housing units. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries, and that brings us to,
I just want to add one thing right quick, just to, I
go
know
ahead.
you always have a design hat on.
Yes,
The layouts of these units are good.
great.
Okay, so I think other developers need to consider the layouts of these units. The affordability is on target and they work well. So.
I guess you can tell that this is being developed by an architect, huh? All right, that moves us to section 6B of our agenda, and we're going to entertain a couple projects that for affordable housing that were solicited through a request for proposal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Moving on to the RFP part of this. Today, we're asking the board to authorize the disposition of properties in the city's Port Richmond area to BMK Properties LLC for the development of a homeownership project, an affordable homeownership project in the First Council District. The proposal calls for 17 single-family affordable homeownership units. Each of these will be 2 stories with unfinished basements, roughly around 1,100 square feet. They will contain 3 bedrooms and 1 bath, 1.5 baths, excuse me. And they will be sold to households with incomes at or below 80% of AMI. Maximum sales price for each one of these units is capped at $250,000 per the RFP. And the applications, again, were solicited via request for proposal for these properties, and the applicant was the sole qualified bidder for these properties. Again, the property is located at 3001 Martha Street in the First Council District. Developer will be purchasing the property at its bid price of $1,700. Evidence of project financing has been provided. They are in compliance in good standing with the City of Philadelphia. They will also be subject to an economic opportunity plan, and the project will be subject to an irrevocable power of attorney and right of reentry reverter as well. The sale of these units will include a declaration of restrictive covenants, and the units will be subject to these use restrictions and income verification for a term of 15 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. Any questions or comments on this item from the board? Seeing none.
Yeah, I have a
Oh,
quick
go ahead.
question.
I'm
It
sorry,
sounds
go
like
ahead.
there was more than one response to the RFP, and that some respondents didn't meet threshold criteria. Can you clarify that?
That's correct.
So in threshold criteria, we look at financial feasibility, whether it's a complete package and items like that. So if it doesn't make through the initial threshold review, is not sent on to scoring. If an application makes it through that, we then send it to scoring. The application also states what requirements are that have to be outlined in terms of submissions. At our pre-submission conference, we talk about what a complete capital stack would look like. And also we do look closely at the ability or equity stake of every developer. So that's part of that threshold review. And then we utilize when it goes to a scoring committee, we use the legislated scoring rubric. And that is attached to all of our RFPs so that every prospective developer is well aware of it. And we do cover that in our pre-submission conferences.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the board?
Yes, I have a question. I just wanted to know, are deep roots in the community that these developments are going into, is that a consideration for any of the prospective bidders?
In terms of social impact, that is a component, but overall, there is no preference given. We have to look at the totality and based on what the scoring rubric indicates, which is legislated by council.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the board? All right, seeing none, Andrea, did we receive any comment from the public prior to the board meeting on this item?
We received one email with multiple questions from Deborah Rudman and Jim Brossi, asking multiple questions since they're residents of a neighboring block to Martha Street. They did say that they think affordable housing is a good improvement to how the lot is currently being used. They're concerned about the number of units on the lot compared to the number of row houses across the street. Ask questions about parking, whether parking or garages are included in the plans or a setback from the street for driveways. And also mention that there's a homeless encampment along the railroad tracks behind the lot. And that was again forwarded to the board and will be appended to the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll go to public comment. It looks like we have a couple of hands up. We're going to start with Nicole Westerman. Ms. Westerman, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Sorry about that. Thank you.
There you go.
Good morning, Chairperson Fadulin and members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to speak about the proposed disposition of 3001 Martha Street. My name is Nicole Westerman, and I work at New Kensington CDC. Our work is focused primarily on the area bounded by Lehigh and Allegheny and Kensington and Aramingo. A coworker of mine, we'll call her Angela, lives in this neighborhood, a few blocks from the Martha Street site. She grew up in this neighborhood. Her mom grew up in this neighborhood and still lives here. The same is true for her daughters. Her grandfather used to walk to work in a factory building adjacent to Trenton and Auburn Playground. Now at that site, there are 5-story homes being built. They have garages on the ground floor. Nearby are new homes that sold last year for $375,000. Angela makes $18 per hour, or about $33,000 per year. That's above the median income for the neighborhood we serve, which is about $30,000 per year. Angela rents a house, but she would like to buy a home in the neighborhood. But it's getting harder and harder to find a house in her price range. The average prices of properties sold in our neighborhood has increased significantly since 2017. In addition, the proportion of Kensington properties being sold to corporations and LLCs rather than individuals has increased dramatically over the last decade. So that wealth isn't helping neighborhood residents do better. It's being siphoned out of the neighborhood. PHDC released the RFP for this parcel on behalf of the land bank with a maximum sale price of $250,000 and requiring homes to be reserved for those earning at or below 80% AMI. The proposal recommended by the board is for homes to be sold for $250,000. That's a price that is far out of reach of Angela and other current residents who would like to stay in this neighborhood, but also want to live in better homes and build wealth for their families. Hundreds of market rate homes have already been built in this neighborhood in the last few years, and hundreds more are permitted or under construction. There is no need to kickstart residential development in this neighborhood. So why would the land bank allow this precious resource of government-owned land to be used for homes that most neighborhood residents can't afford? In a neighborhood that is already burdened by hundreds of unsheltered people suffering from substance abuse disorder and the highest rates of gun violence in Philadelphia, it seems insulting and cruel to invite developers to come into the neighborhood and say to the residents, these homes are not for you. We know from other neighborhoods how this plays out. The people moving in are whiter and more educated. Folks like Angela are increasingly pressured to find lower cost housing elsewhere. Even though she would like her grandkids to grow up in the same neighborhood where her grandfather worked, that might not be possible. In conclusion, we're opposed to the disposition of this property for $250,000 homes. In addition, I'm here to ask PHDC and the Land Bank and Philadelphia's council members, please stop releasing RFPs that produce homes that are not within reach of community residents. Set maximum sales prices and maximum buyer earnings at levels that will give neighborhood residents a chance to have a better home. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Westerman, for those comments. And next we have Jahad Ali. Mr. Ali.
Hey, thank you, Chairperson. I just wanted to say I support this project. I think, unfortunately, a lot of people in Philadelphia tend to think is everybody that is, well, I'm not just going to assume that the other caller was referring to somebody of color, but everybody assumes that all Black people are low income. And I want to say there's a lot of those of us who are not low income, but we're working families. So there's a ton of working people out here every day, cops, firefighters, sanitation workers, all that stuff. So I think that this is a fair price. I mean, as somebody pointed out, the average price in Philly is 400, 500,000. 250 is a great price for a working family. This is not for everybody, but in that neighborhood, that neighborhood that's going through transformation, I just want to make sure that people of color who are not low income, that are working families, have an opportunity to buy. When you have a neighborhood that's in transformation like that, it's very easy to think that those homes could be pre-sold before he even breaks the ground. So the board, I'm asking the board to ensure that that marketing is done across the board, that everybody in the city that qualifies is given the opportunity to purchase one of those homes if they're qualified. That's one thing. The second thing, when your executive director spoke, he talked about the threshold. In construction, we have a saying that says, if you practice something long enough, you're going to get good at it. So let's say that this developer, who I'm very familiar with, is an accomplished, well-practiced developer. So the problem that I have is when you have a developer with that capacity, if you look back over all his accomplishments, if we would have had more transparency on economic opportunity and uplifting disadvantaged contractors, we could be producing a future developer who have made all his money with his hands and the sweat of his brow. So once again, I'm back to that point about transparency and MBEs. I'm looking forward to talk to the developer about his participation, but I think this is an excellent project and I'm for it.
Thank you, Mr. Ali. And I don't see any other hands up from the public. So unless there are other questions or comments from the board, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I just have a comment. I just wanted to say that, in this particular area, there's a lot of market rate development, homeownership and rental. And I do understand Ms. Westerman's concern, especially about long-term community residents being pushed out. Yes, there's a need for workforce development housing and also affordable housing, but the market trends are already taking care of the market workforce development housing by itself without any help from others. I think that there should be a space where consideration is given to deeper affordable housing in areas that are gentrifying, like Kensington, like Port Richmond, so that long-term residents and their children have an opportunity to remain in the neighborhood and have space and also enjoy the amenities that are created as a result of the development that's been, taken effect in that part of the city.
Okay, Angel, do you want to comment? And then I have one more
Yeah,
question from the public with their hand up.
I just want to remind the board that these RFPs were put up with the expectation that this was in conjunction with the Turn the Key program. So we looked closely at what the sales price on the area was, what could a family afford at that AMI, 80% of AMI, looking at 30% of your income should not go to housing. Then we met with a lot of banks as to what their underwriting criteria was. And we understand that, yes, interest rates are going up. It is very tight on the cash flow, but with Turn the Key and the patient's second mortgage, which can go up to 75,000, you're talking about a house at 250 being sold at 190,000, which if you look at the housing in the area is dramatically lower, right? So I think that the board should pay attention to the fact that this RFP was not put out there by itself. It's in conjunction with trying to make it even more affordable and allowing for people and residents to gain the benefit of home ownership over the long term. So it's a patient soft second to Mr. Jahad Ali's question about marketing. We have the Turnkey website, which we'll put in the chat, where any prospective home buyer, if they're income qualified, will be considered, and we will actively market to them. We're trying to build that situation where all of these developers are required to take our referrals, and our priorities are city employees and then qualified income certified home recipients. So again, we posted it at 250. Obviously, we're not providing subsidy for the development. So we're looking to tap into the capital market, have it built at 250. And then for the home buyer, we're offering a soft second mortgage for up to 75,000, which will buy it down to 190. I think given the home sales prices in the area, that's extremely affordable for an opportunity to move into a three bedroom, 2-bath house. So.
Yeah, and I do think it's a little tricky, right, for the land bank to sort of solve all issues, because to Angel's point, what we're offering here is a below market value of the land. We're not putting any dollars into the actual cost of the construction. And I think we all are aware of what's happening with interest rates and what construction costs. And so unfortunately, given those parameters, it's very difficult to offer in a unit at a lesser sales price, because we're not putting any subsidy into the actual construction. Go ahead, Mike. Kuntz.
Just two questions. One is, if we're offering soft second up to $75,000 and the sales price is $250, how do we determine that after the $75,000 soft second, the home buyer would be buying the home for $190?
So how the process will work and how we've addressed it with approved developers is that they're going to be required to work with us. We will be referring people to them. So home buyers will come in, get qualified through our Turn the Key program, which requires that they be first-time home buyers, have housing counseling, and then we will income certify them to verify that they're at that income level. We will then be, through the application process, issuing a letter stating that they will get a soft second mortgage, in which case they can go then to a commercial bank. And then working with a lot of the commercial banks, WSFS, Bank of America, a lot of them also offer, additional dollars. So Bank of America has a great program where they're offering $17,000, $7,000 for closing costs, and an additional $10,000, which is also forgivable, but further buying the property down. The same with WSFS. WSFS has $10,000, and there are other multiple banks that are out there who are very eager to, join us and join the city in this Turn the Key program to make this even more affordable. So if we're dropping it down to 190, if you're with WSFS, that takes it to 180.
My question was, how do you get to 190 if you take $75,000 off the sales price?
So I think
Sorry, that was 175. That was my bad.
Okay.
Yeah,
Bad math
that's
on my
right.
part.
That's
I was
bad
just doing
math,
that.
right? So I think the point is that the sales price starts at 250, that
Right.
there is the opportunity for up to additional $75,000
Right.
purchase price write down, depending on underwriting and
Right.
meeting different criteria to make the units more affordable. Understanding that is still not going to make it affordable to every household that is interested in potentially purchasing a home in these communities. Go ahead, Mr. Sauer, Rick.
Excuse me, I had two
Oh,
questions.
I'm sorry,
That was the first one.
Mike, go
The
ahead.
second one is, They are also, just for the record, are they also eligible, the home buyers, are they eligible for the Philly First program?
Yes,
Up to $10,000 in down payment assistance?
yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And go ahead, Rick. I'm sorry.
Thank you. So I understand this developer is an accomplished developer. He's actually gotten a number of properties from the land bank, I believe, including in this neighborhood, to do a home ownership at 80% or 100% of AMI in the past. I guess my larger concern, I'm certainly supportive of creating more opportunities for home ownership for Black and brown households at a reasonable affordability level. But my concern in this particular neighborhood is we've disposed of a lot of property already for home ownership. And what land are we going to have left to bake in additional deeper affordability if we just keep giving all the properties out the door for home ownership at 80% or whatever of AMI? So that's a larger concern I have. And I think we need to take a closer look at that in a variety of neighborhoods that are changing pretty dramatically, because the land that we have control over is a limited resource. And if we don't bake in affordability now, we're going to lose the opportunity to do that in some of these neighborhoods beyond the merits of doing an affordable homeownership project at 80% of AMI.
And I'm not seeing any other hands up by the board, so I'm gonna go back to public comment, and we have a hand up by Kermit O.
Hi, yeah, thank you. Okay, so my question or comment, I guess, is I want to support, first of all, the comments by the representative from NKCDC. I think she was spot on with her assessment of the situation. It seems strange to me that affordability is being determined primarily by AMI when there are many other factors that determine whether people can actually afford a house beyond income, in particular debt. It's given the huge amount of people coming out of college from student loan debt, medical debt, credit cards, and so forth, and now we're looking to buy homes. AMI is not really an accurate measurement of whether they can afford these houses at these price points, right? Like 250K is not affordable. And then even 190 isn't affordable for a lot of people. Like, just my own personal example, like, I bought my house for 260, and me and my partner do really well. We're not working class. We're probably firmly middle class, and we still can barely afford that. So, for the average working class person, 250K or 190, whatever, is not affordable whatsoever. So, and then this excuse that the land bank is making around, we only sell the land, we can't really make any, say anything about the cost of development on the land. That seems like a bit of a cop out to me, honestly. It's like you can set the terms in the RFP or whatever to actually determine affordability. And this also gets to Rick's earlier comment around long-term affordability. It's like, we don't do something now, then we may do nothing at all. And that doesn't seem right to me. It just seems like there must be something you can do to make these, to provide for long-term affordability for people that have lived in this community for generations. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for those comments. All right, I do not see any other hands up on public comment. And again, unless there's any other further questions or comments from the board, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded to approve the disposition to BMK Properties of 3001 Martha Street for the development of 17 affordable home ownership units. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Hey,
Okay, I think we still have sufficient, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, 9 with 2 opposed is 7. So if that carries, that motion carries. Okay. And we are now on to item number 6B2, which is another disposition that was solicited through an RFP.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Today, we're asking the board to authorize the disposition of properties in the city's north central area to Zavetta Property Group for the development of an affordable homeownership project in the 5th District. The proposal calls for 70 single-family affordable homeownership units, all of which are 3 stories without basements, ranging between 1,300 and 1,400 square feet, containing 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, and sold to households at or below 100% of AMI in income. The maximum sales price is to be capped at $280,000 for these units. Applications were solicited via a request for proposals for the properties, and the applicant was the most qualified bidder for these properties. The extensive property list includes 621, 623, 625, 637, and 917 on Diamond Street, 924, 927, 928, 936 Edgeley Street, 926 and 928 French Street, 2106, 2112, 2140, 2141, 2142, 2143, 2151, 2166, 2170, 2172, 2215, 2217, and 2219 North Franklin Street, 2112, 2130, 2144, and 2214 North Marshall Street, 2105, 2107, 2109, 2110, 2111, 2112, 2113, 2119, 2121, 2133, 2140, 2143, 2146, and 2150 North Percy Street, 904, 912, and 910 West Susquehanna Avenue, 2102, 2109, 2114, 2126, 2128, 2130, 2131, 2134, 2135, 2136, 2150, and 2210 North 7th Street, 2101, 2101, 2113, 2121, 2155, and 2167 through 69, and also 2201 North 8th Street, 2124, 2126, 2132, 2150, and 2165 North 9th Street, and finally 2121 North 10th Street. The developer will be purchasing these properties for $7,000. Evidence of project financing has been provided, and the applicant is in compliance and good standing with the city of Philadelphia. The project will also be subject to an economic opportunity plan. This project will also be subject to irrevocable power of attorney, right of reentry reverter. Sale of all these units will include a declaration of restrictive covenants, and the units will be subject to these use restrictions and income verifications for a term of 15 years at minimum. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on this item from the board?
Did the developer meet with the community?
Yes.
I guess I have the same concerns that I raised at the last meeting, in terms of the sheer number of properties that this one particular developer has received over the past year or so. One, two, submitting the same exact layouts, no matter where in the city the developer plans to build. I think at this point, the board should probably consider having some design professional as part of the review team when they're looking at these projects, considering that these are significant projects in neighborhoods that may not, they're not necessarily considering the context in terms of the way that these new structures are going to fit within an existing community. That really just concerns me. And in addition to that, the capacity, capability, and for this particular developer to complete the work. I've asked several times for a list of everything that they've done, who their minority participation has been, have they hired folks from the community. We are giving this one developer a huge amount of land to develop these properties. And that concerns me. As a citizen, it concerns me. As a board member, it concerns me. Those are my comments.
Thank you, Mr. John. Any other members of the board have any questions or comments on this item?
I just want to, I agree with Mr. John's comments, and also what it seems like the developer's not really looking at, the adjoining properties in particular neighborhoods and really taking that context in. So when the properties are designed, they're in line with what's there and really is cohesive with the neighborhood that they're being developed in. And just to make sure that, they're attractive and it fits within the context of the community and they're sustainable long-term.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. Any other questions or comments from the board? Go ahead. I'm going to go to Rick and then Angel, you can make comments. Go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, I noticed the last project that was just approved was homeownership targeted 80% of AMI at 250. This is homeownership at 100% of AMI at 280,000. So even less affordable than the previous project, realizing I assume this also probably qualifies for Turn the Key program and the other programs that were announced earlier. But is there clarification for why we're doing a higher income targeting for this particular project?
So let me address some of the questions, starting from the latter first. In terms of design, if you look at the area that we have lots in, we're not talking about intact lots. This is not infill per se. These are large tracts of blocks where you have 90% vacancy. So in terms of the concerns in this area about keeping with the motif of the neighborhood, the neighborhood is mainly vacant lots and vacant land. If you look at some of the areas that we're identifying properties for development. Second question to what Rick was raising is when we develop RFPs, we look at the market and we work closely with the council area in terms of setting those limits and what the general market is. So in the other areas where you have two-story infill row houses in the second district, you're looking at a different affordability level versus what's happening in certain areas in North Philadelphia. And that's how we end up coming with that, setting those levels and looking at what we can buy down through Turn the Key.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the board? Seeing that, Andrea, did we receive any comment on this item prior to the board meeting?
Yes, we did. This was, I'm sorry, I have the wrong one. Mr. Charles Dyches, hope I pronounced that correctly, just stating that he was wondering how the land bank planned a meeting and the community still hasn't had a meeting or a vote, or if they're saying, if the developer says they had a meeting, they're being untruthful. So that is it.
Okay, thank you. And now we're going to go to public comment for folks who are attending this meeting. And I'm going to start with Perel Jure Simmons. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm here.
Go
It's
ahead and
very
provide your
unfortunate that
comment.
we're discussing this meeting again about these vital properties on a Zoom call, because we have not had a meeting again in our community. A lot of this information has not been transparency without throughout the community, with anyone explaining and expressing what's going on. And to Mr. Rick Sauer, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. I heard you mention that the land that you guys are controlling it's not your land. That's the problem that we're having in our community. Everyone's just coming here building, and they're not discussing things with us as a community. And why are we having these meetings on Zoom when courts are in session, schools are in session, banks are open? Why are we not speaking in person? That's my concern, and that's just my question I have for the board. Why are you guys not as transparency as you keep saying you are? This doesn't seem like it's being transparent with the community.
So Andrea, do you want to comment on why we hold our meetings via Zoom?
Yes, so we have been, because the office is in PHDC, where we have our office space, are closed to the public, especially large groups. We had to have these meetings on Zoom. And we have been looking at having a hybrid version of the meetings that allow for both in-person participation as well as Zoom participation. However, for technical reasons, that still has not, as well as public health reasons, that still has not been put into effect.
Thank you. Okay, next we have Jihad Ali.
Thank you for allowing me to comment. I just wanted to pick up where the the board member, Michael John, spoke, because this developer was one of the ones that had raised my concerns months ago about his MBE participation. And recently I seen the executive director, Mr. Rodriguez, at a developers forum for African-American contractors. I told developers, I told him my concerns. He made an effort for me to be in touch with Mr. Savetta, and I met him yesterday at the groundbreaking. So I want to thank the developer, Mr. Executive Director, for that. But I do think that this whole issue about MBE participation, this substantiates the points that I made through several of my comments about what the board sees, right? And here Mr. John says that he has repeatedly requested this. You know, sometimes I feel as though I'm being suppressed. It's almost like I'm in the deep South and my vote is being suppressed, like the machinery, the policy is suppressing us. Because if you allow the transparency for us to see, then I can complain. And the process allows me as a citizen several avenues to voice my complaint. But if I don't know, I can't complain. So I wanted to make that point. And I do want to say, in fairness to the board and your attorney, Ms. Andrea, she has always been transparent. This board has always been transparent. I, for one, I'm an older guy, even though I have a younger voice, but I really like the virtual thing. I think this is a transparent process. The exec director makes this stuff all available online. I knew about this. You know, I knew it was going to be. I'm online today, so that's it. So I do think that this is a serious matter. When we have a developer, as I said earlier, if you practice something good enough, you're going to get good. And this is another good developer, but we just want to make sure that his diversity and inclusion moves along as he moves along. And we can only do that if you, the board, is looking at that. The third thing, I do agree with Mr. Johns. When I was at the groundbreaking the other day, and that was my first time seeing a rendering of the proposed units, and I just thought it was a missed opportunity. Because if you think from a perspective of a building, once you get inside, all these units are going to have, recessed lighting. They're going to have modern kitchens. They're going to look great in the inside. But when you look outside, we should not be able to distinguish, well, that's a low-income house. And I think there's a missed opportunity for your committee headed with Mr. Johns to speak to contractors and other developers that might be willing to volunteer just to critique and give some other ways that building could still be constructed in that price point and still have a different look from the outside. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Ali. And before I continue public comment, I'm going to recognize board member Mike Kuntz.
I just had a question about the community meeting. Was there a sign-in sheet?
One was provided, yes.
Could we start including that in the board package, or at least some details about the community meeting in the board packages in the future?
Yes.
And next I'm going to go to Charles Dyches.
Hello.
Yes. Hello. Go ahead. You're unmuted.
My first question is, when was this community meeting held? What date? What location? What time? And by who? Because he didn't have no meeting. We was just on this call less than a month ago. There was no meeting, and this is like pattern in practice. Y'all trying to jam something down our throats and saying we attended a meeting, which I have several homeowners right now on this call listening that know nothing about a meeting. So who told y'all that they had a meeting? That's what I want to know, first thing. Who said they had a meeting? Where was the meeting? What time and what location? And who signed on the sheet?
So do we have a date and time?
And location. I'm going through emails, but I think Mr. Tomasetti's hands up. He can confirm the details of that.
Okay. I'm going to unmute Mr. Tomasetti next so that he can respond. Go ahead, Mr. Tomasetti.
Hello. So we had a meeting at 2106 North 9th on 11/16.
2106 North 9th. Ain't no house there.
Yeah, the rec center. We
Not
were
on
at the
9th?
rec center, state rep Shirley Kitchens.
We don't have a rec center there, sir.
Nope. Liar.
I think he said 41, right? 41, not 21.
No, it says, well, I'm looking at I have a copy of the sign-in sheet. Shirley put 2106 at the top, but we were at the rec center. Millicent Clark was there, Shirley Kitchens, Lamont Jefferson, Leon Sanford. I mean, I have this sheet right here.
And what address?
And it was emailed to the PHDC.
What address, sir? That in the neighborhoods.
I mean, I can
Hold
look it up.
on. Wait. We don't do this back and forth thing. So,
But yes, I have a sign-in sheet.
hold on one
We have to
second.
share with whoever.
All right, so I'll try to steer this. Okay. Where
And
exactly,
can I speak?
was
Can I
there a name of the rec center?
Yeah, let me look at my.
I mean, I'm sorry, hold on, please. This is a little confusing, I have to say, for the board, right? Because a community meeting typically has some kind of flyer, there's some publicity, and that flyer or something should have, this is the location of the board meeting. So it's a little bit strange that it's not sort of like, yeah, I'm looking at this and we had the meeting at the, and I'm making this up, the John Miller Recreation Center at XXX. It was on this date and this time. This is how we publicized it. So is there just that basic information that can be provided, Mr. Tomasetti?
We spoke with APM. That's how we went about getting the meeting. And I have to look back on my calendar to get the exact address.
And so APM did all the publicity for this meeting?
Well, we
Yes.
worked with Lamont Jefferson to get the word out.
So Lamont Jefferson is the head of the RCO that the APM RCO in the area.
November 6th, we have the date.
Okay, and do
And
we
they
have,
set up the
and do we
meeting.
know how they publicized the meeting?
That I do not know, but we were asked to attend the meeting with State Senator Kitchens present.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna go to Board Member Rashid, who has her hand up.
1900 North 9th.
I'm just noticing this State Senator Shirley Kitchen. I'm not aware. Is she still an elected official?
No.
She was our state senator for years, but I just keep hearing this name.
Former State Senator Shirley Kitchen heads another RCO. I believe there's several RCOs in the area. And APM took the lead to coordinate the RCO meeting apparently.
And so the RCO meeting was held at APM headquarters?
That's what we're trying to ascertain. We got a sign-in sheet where people signed in, gave their phone numbers, and that meeting did occur. We did not hear back. We haven't heard or from Mr. Jefferson as to how he went about it. So being that there are RCOs, we assume that they would have gone out and contacted community members. But I can't guarantee that that's what happened.
Okay, thank you.
Am I, so it was at 8th and Diamond, the rec center at 8th and Diamond.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tomasetti. I'm gonna move on with
And-
public. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, I'm gonna move on with public comment here. So next I have is Gary Murray.
Good morning.
Good morning, go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Gary Murray. I'm a developer. My company is Mazel Tov Development. We develop mostly market rate housing in the area, but we also do some affordable as well. I have a major concern about this particular project. Obviously, the 2100 block of Percy Street, my company was the pioneering development company that has gone in on the 2100 block of Percy Street to do development. The very first new construction homes that were built on that street was built by my business. It's 2102, 2104, and 2106 North Percy Street. We have gone through a tremendous amount of work with working with the community to come up with design aspects, also talk about public safety and things like that. We're very tied in within the community as well. When it comes to block cleaning and things like this, it's very concerning to me to distribute or for it to be this many properties to be turned over to one developer with the hopes of them creating a resolution for any type of housing. I think it's a large number of projects, and it's going to need someone to. They're going to need some micromanagement just along on the design side of things to make sure that we can create. I would like to protect the design and what we have started on that particular block. There's 13 lots that they are looking to acquire on that one street. If they go in and build 13 properties on that street and they all look the same, and they're all affordable housing, let's per se, it's going to create a stigma on that street, and it's going to create a fabric of this is a low income, this is a poor standard of living street or section. And I think that what we need to do is we need to reduce the number of properties that are being distributed to one developer, and it needs to be mixed. I know for myself, as growing up as an individual, what helped me because I come from North Philadelphia as well. I grew up in North Philadelphia. My family's from North Philadelphia, but I've gone through and moved on. But anyhow, what I like to say is that people benefit from being amongst other peers that are doing better, doing a step better. If you are a child and you grew up in a poor environment, but you live next door to a doctor, that helps you because now you have someone that you can communicate with who can show you a different way of life, who can show you that there is other things, that there is better. But to put everybody who's struggling in one place, nobody can grow from that. Nobody can learn from that. You have to be able to mix in these different demographics, these different income levels on these streets. You can't just put it all in one street. That's like putting everybody in a dump. You have to mix up these families. So I think that we should reduce the number of properties. I don't mind if they come in and they do some properties on Percy Street. That's great. But I don't think that we should give them 13 lots on this street to do affordable housing. I think it needs to be a mixture of affordable and mixed rate, because right now there's the only homeowners that are on that street are the ones that are the original people that have lived there, and they need help, some of them, with getting their homes together. And I think that the best help is to be able to allow other individuals to be around them within the community who are doing a step better financially and have other perspectives on life that they could share with people and become neighbors with one another.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. Appreciate those comments. Next, I'm going to go to Mo Rushdie.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and the board. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I just want to say again, offer the perspective. My name is Mo Rushdie, Vice President of the Building Industry Association. I want to put a little bit of a kind of a reality to this, which is this is about 5 or 6 blocks away from North Square. We're talking about homes that are selling for $600,000 and $700,000. We're talking about blocks that have been vacant for decades, blocks that has a lot of crime. So I look at someone like Mike Tomasetti and the Chavetta Group, and going and taking the risk, probably getting a $15–20 million loan to be able to build 71 homes for $280,000 as a very, very risky and courageous move here. Again, I support everyone. I support PHDC. Rick, I know you vote no on every one of these projects, good for you, but I support you if you're able to do it. I support private developers to do it. I support subsidized housing and what Ann is doing with LIHTC deals and doing all kinds of stuff and to help getting housing trust fund money to repair homes and get affordable homes to the market. I just struggle to be sitting in these board meetings, and I hear them now every month, and excuse me for expressing this, to see how it is difficult to build affordable homes in these communities. At the end of the day, these affordable homes at $280,000, and some are $250,000, and some of them are $230,000, combined with the MPI, okay, that Jesse and Angel are talking about, it's exactly what we should be all doing. We have a 30,000 home shortage in the city that we have to get to by in 8 years or 9 years. So when we talk about 70 homes and 20 homes and 30 homes, these make a difference, but we have long ways to go. So again, I support this job, this project, and I hope more people can come forward and do 50 and 70, 100 unit jobs, because the community needs more of us to come out there and do affordable housing in these communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rushdie. And next, I'm going to recognize Shirley Kitchen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I had to correct a great deal of the information was said, especially when we're talking about a meeting. A meeting was not held. When we were making preparations to hold the meeting for the community, the applicant took it upon himself to post the letter that was sent to me to notify the community. He posted the letter. He proceeded to post it wherever he wanted to. By the time I notified the other RCO and some other people, there was mass confusion because people wanted to know why they could not purchase a lot, and they had been trying to for years. How much did the lot cost? Why weren't they notified that this was going to happen? It was just mass confusion. Then I had to try to contact someone to clarify to me what was going on, because all I had known about the project was the letter I received. Had the applicant not interfered, we would have called someone to give us more information. We would have scheduled a meeting, as we did the other properties on other cases, not speaking of here. But the process was not followed. It was no reason for the applicant to go out to try to get people that he thought that he could persuade without letting the community know what went on. And I did try to email. I thought I emailed some comments and asking that the vote be delayed, the presentation be delayed until January, when a meeting can be held, when each household on those 15 or 16 blocks can be notified that these changes are happening. People would like to know the price of the houses. And some concerns I have is, number one, I didn't hear anything about community participation. I didn't hear anything about basic systems repairs for people when these construction when the construction starts for the houses, new houses. What happens to the existing houses when drilling or whatever is taking place nearby? What about if a home is damaged? And as I said before, the applicant came into a meeting that was being held at 8th and Diamond for another applicant whose property was located at 2106 North 9th Street, and which there was no objection to that project. It was only 4 people there because it was maybe 5 or 6 people on that project. Around the corner, it was probably 1 or 2 families. That was an entirely different application. And an attendance sheet cannot be shown for a meeting for this applicant.
Thank you, Ms. Kitchen. Appreciate you with those comments. And last, we're going to hear from the developer very quickly, and then I'm going to call the question unless the board has any questions. Go ahead, Mr. Tomasetti. Mr. Tomasetti, you're unmuted.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
So I apologize for the confusion. I mean, we were at that meeting just to let the community know that we were building there and looking to start doing home buying seminars for the projects we have. I apologize for that. So I want to talk about some things that were touched on, like design work. I know, Michael Johns, you're stuck on the design of my projects. My projects are designed by Moto Design Shop, which is one of the biggest architect firms in Philadelphia and award-winning. They're all brick fronts. They're just a modern play on your average row home, so they do flow into the fabric of the neighborhood. We make sure of that, and we spend time looking at that before we even put in RFPs. So I know there's also volume issues. Yesterday at our groundbreaking, we had our banker there from WISVIS. They are willing to take a walk with us on every project that we were doing because they believe in what we are doing and stand behind us. The other thing that was brought up, I think that might be it. Oh, the EOP numbers. So I pride myself in my EOP numbers. So I'm hitting 44% EOP. 23% of that is MBE, 21% WBE. I'll be happy to share those numbers with anyone. I own my own construction company, so I'm a little different than most. So I'm able to actually build these products in a timely manner. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Tomasetti. Board Member Gonzalez.
Yes, I just wanted to say that, you know, it appears that there's a lot of confusion related to the community. And I think it's really critical for for-profit and nonprofit developers to have those conversations with community residents. And it's okay if, you know, we can agree to disagree, but the community needs to have an opportunity to share their concerns and also ask questions and have an opportunity to learn more about developments that are happening in their neighborhood. We owe them that level of respect. And I think, you know, it seems from the information that was shared here that there's a disconnect, and that a true forum for community to talk about this initiative wasn't really, it wasn't really held. And I am just concerned that, you know, that it's really critical that we give community residents an opportunity to have that dialogue with the developer.
Thank you, Board Member Gonzalez.
Can I?
Okay.
I was just going to ask, can we make a motion to table this because it seems crazy?
I was going to ask for a motion, and you are the board. You can make whatever motion you see fit.
I'd like to make a motion that we table this and get clarity on what is going on between the developer and the community. The developer says someone was there. That person says they weren't there. The developer says they attended a thing. Nobody seems to know about it. I'd like to get clarity on that. And also, I think to some of the previous requests about the reporting on how many units this developer has worked on would be helpful.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and properly seconded to table this item pending additional community engagement and some clarification about past performance on land bank properties. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, that motion carries, which means item 6B2 has been tabled. And when that brings us to item 6C, which is a development for gardens and open space.
Sorry, I was on mute. Item 61, today we're asking the board to authorize the disposition of properties in the city's Fair Hill area to Historic Fair Hill, Inc. It's a nonprofit. and they are looking to develop a community garden or complete developing a community garden in the 5th Council District. The properties are located at 911, 913, 915, 919, 921, 923, and 925 West Auburn Street. The nonprofit maintains the westernmost of these lots right now, and they want to continue to use these lots requested for a community garden. They've been gardening on these lots since 2012, and they also plan to donate and have been donating vegetables to near neighbors on a weekly basis, and they want to use the properties to educate the community's youth on gardening. The applicants are compliant and in good standing with the City of Philadelphia. They will not be subject to an economic opportunity plan due to the nature of the project, and they will be subject to use restrictions as managed open space.
Thank you, Jesse. Any questions or comments from the board on this item? Seeing none, do we have any members of the public that wish to comment on this item? Oh, I'm sorry, Andrea. Sorry, members of the public. Andrea, did we receive any comments on this item?
We did not.
Well, there you go. Any questions or comments from the public attending this meeting? All right, I do not see any hands up regarding this item, so I will entertain a motion from the board, excuse me.
I move to approve the disposition of these lots to Historic Fair Hill.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded to approve disposition of several lots on West Auburn Street to Historic Fair Hill. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, and now we got a hand up by Jeremy Bladstein. Jeremy Bladstein, can you give your comments very quickly?
Oh, no, sorry. It was, I wanted to say something after this, though. I'll say it now,
okay.
if that's
All right.
I think it's new business.
Okay, hold on then. All right. So we have the motion on the floor. I'm sorry. To approve this disposition. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries, and that concludes our regular agenda. We'll now go to anybody who wish to provide a comment on old or new business to the board, and for that we have Jeremy Bladstein with his hand up.
Thank you. I just want to touch on a couple of things after listening to this meeting / listening. I've probably listened to 8 of the last 12 meetings this year. And first off, I just wanted to applaud Angel for the work he has done for the land bank in terms of having 23, I believe, different RFPs in 2022 compared to 1 in 2021. If the city of Philadelphia is going to really start to tackle the housing issues that it's facing and be in line with the turnkey program that city council has chosen to put on the land bank, the need to streamline this process is very important. The clarity in terms of what qualifies for the turnkey program, I think, needs to be looked at a little bit more, because you had touched on the 250 AMI, 250K versus the 280K, but their homes were 1,000 square feet versus 1,400 square feet. One was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and the other ones were a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath. So like, they're not apples to apples that we're comparing. So the price per square foot isn't one of the options we're looking at. And then the last bit, in terms of the RCO process, it's not clear really what is needed for this community meeting, how you really are going about the community. I'm not necessarily sure if it's on the developer to have all these meetings, or what role it is to better educate the public on the different programs that are out there. So that's kind of something that if the land bank or the city council can put out in terms of the different programs, the metrics you had said about the 486 homes, what the timeline is, that'd be great. And then the last bit that I've heard so many times is, where are we at with, for 2022, the different houses or pieces of land that were given out, and kind of just a status update on those projects, and easily be able to reference that list to see what the status was, how many houses or apartments each developer has been allocated, I think would be helpful, and goes in line with that whole transparency thing, along with any of the agreements they previously had. So thanks for taking the time. But I do want to say that in order to do this whole process has to be streamlined, and it's not difficult. It's very difficult in this current environment to build, and I'm not, I guess we have to look at what the role of the land bank is versus what the role of city council and other housing programs are when we're looking at building housing. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bledstein. And Mr. Ali. Mr. Ali, you should be able to unmute yourself. There you go.
Thank you. I think it's clear that everybody is not on the same page when it comes to what the enabling legislation has granted to the land bank and to citizens. And to say that, you know, this is a tough business. As I said, you know, these developers that can practice and do their thing and become prominent developers, you know, one thing that's clear that they're not practicing diversity and inclusion, in my opinion. It doesn't do anybody any justice to be able to say what you've achieved without substantiating it. And that's what I'm looking for. You know, I do want to look forward. I'm a positive person, so I think we can correct it. But your process, as it's coming clear, is broken. Because if Mr. Johns, as an esteemed member of this board, can ask for a document, what do you think my chances are asking for something? So I think looking forward, and then when you hear a developer, it's frustrating from their point of view, but this is the process. And as one of you pointed out, people can come down and talk whatever, but you as a board, you can make your decision, whether the community is for or against, if it's in the best interest of your mission. So I support that. But when we start talking about numbers, it does it injustice to say, you know, 4 units, 14 units, 17 units, and 71 units. But when you look at it and say, well, that's $32 million. And of that $32 million, at least 35% of that should go in the hands of Black and brown people. And then the other percentage should go in the hands of WBEs. We need to ensure that that's happening. To use the number of one of the developers, when he said that you have potentially 30,000 units, that may be close to $8 billion that you're going to dispose of. And for us not to have uplifted those tradespeople and contractors that are in that field, that would be a travesty. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Ali. All right, that appears to be all our comments. So at this point, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that concludes the December Land Bank Board meeting. I hope everybody has a happy, healthy, safe holiday season, and we'll see you back here in January. Take care, everybody.
Take
Bye-bye.
care, everyone.
Here.